Good morning, everyone. From slightly gloomy Spain here. Gloomy because the weather's not actually the best this morning, and also everyone's walking around with a long face, having had the pants pulled down by England in their own backyard. Really nice for an Englishman to watch that in a Spanish bar last night. Again, kind of proud of English football, I guess, after a performance like that. My view on the game was. Is actually that we made, I thought, quite a lot of mistakes, and we looked quite rash and inexperienced at times. I thought the units were clearly inexperienced in terms of the amount of time they've worked with each other, the units, the partnerships, the positional understanding within that team. If you look at the likes of, say, Gomez and Maguire playing next to each other, Chilwell and Maguire have some understanding from club football, but I still felt there was problems there, and similarly with Trippier and Gomez on the other side. So just from the defensive point of view, as well as the likes of Dyer and Barkley playing together, there's a lot of, it was a very inexperienced unit that Southgate put out on the pitch last night in terms of the amount of game time that they've had together. I think when you consider that, and you consider all the hallmarks of inexperience that I felt were on show for England last night, what a fantastic result, what a fantastic performance, and what a fantastic reflection on what English football might be capable of in the coming months and years, because there's obviously a lot more to come. There's also a lot more in terms of ability on the bench, or players that didn't play last night. No John Stones as an example. Henderson's still an integral part of this team, of this group anyway. Whether or not he plays moving forward, I don't know. But there were some quite big characters that weren't out there last night. And then you've got the likes of the James Maddisons and the Jadon Sanchos coming through, who didn't get on the pitch last night either. So you can't be anything but excited about this group and what Southgate's doing. They played with purpose. It was very clear what their plan was, and best of all, they just broke lines. They broke lines and created chances, and were brave enough to do that. Brave enough to play that ball at that particular moment in time when perhaps they could have turned back and knocked it square and gone safe. They looked to break lines wherever there was an opportunity to do so, wherever there was a weakness. And to be honest, Spain, there's some. They're going through a transitional period. For me, they're one of the best sides in the world. You don't beat Croatia 6-0 without being an incredibly good international team. But they were, at times last night, I thought, disorganised and lacking that experience as a group. In terms of the kind of commentary on the key points on the game, I thought the game started chaotically, and all the inexperience and lack of understanding that I've just referred to, particularly in the unit at the back, was evident, and they could have been 2-0 up, 3-0 up in the first 7 or 8 minutes, and we had to weather the storm a little bit there, and we got a little bit of luck. But that, as I say, that was for me just a lack of understanding. I really felt like the partnership between Trippier and Gomez was looked weak and lacking understanding. I mean, Trippier would go press the ball out wide, and I didn't see Gomez going behind him and the England unit going behind him. It felt to me like they had an awful lot of space to play in that channeled out bit between the right back and the right-sided centre half. And at times, to be fair, the same was true on the other side. We were probably lucky to be, to not concede early on. But after that, the quality of that first goal. If you see the Jimmy Bullard's commentary video of the patience that we showed, we went back when we needed to because the Spanish defensive block was set. We moved them around. We waited for the opportunity. Pickford's ability with his feet, shows how important goalkeepers are to teams scoring goals as well as not conceding goals, because his pass was the one that broke the first and second line, and I thought Harry Kane's play throughout, link-up play and intelligence, timing of his passes, timing of his movement, the intelligence of his movement, just to take players away to create space for his teammates was unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, Sterling's finish, hadn't scored for 3 years. Vinnie Jones hammering him on TalkSport yesterday. It was all kind of it was a really great answer to kind of stick one up the critics, to be honest. And yeah, it was one of the best goals you'll see England score for a long, for quite some time. Spain's backline played very high and very square, and I think we broke their defensive line and played in behind probably 6 or 7 times in a period of about 15 minutes, which I thought showed a worrying lack of control if you're looking from a Spain point of view. And they were at 6s and 7s. It kind of reminded me a little bit of what Roma looked like in the Champions League semi-final against Liverpool last year, when they played a very high defensive line. And we created chance after chance after chance, and 3-0 probably was, it could have been 4 or 5, to be honest. We had other opportunities where we didn't quite pull the trigger, or didn't quite release the ball at the right time. I know there was one particular point where Ross Barkley was through, and I would have liked to have seen him to have the confidence to see if he can go 1v1 and go past the player, or at least create the space to pull the trigger. But regardless, it was a fantastic display of attacking or counter-attacking football and control, execution, timing, composure under pressure, and delivering the goods in the moment for that period of maybe 20 minutes towards the end of the first half. I think second half we panicked to some degree. I mean, there was clearly some expectation or some planning over half time to ensure that there was a solidity about the base unit, probably play a little bit deeper, try and get some control in terms of defensive situations. And I thought actually it wasn't too bad. I mean, Dyer's position isn't. I'm still not that keen on him. I think he plays 5 yards too high at times, but it's kind of risk reward, because he plays that a little bit higher, but then he starts to counter-attacks or counter-presses and wins the ball quickly higher up the pitch and allows us to play forward quicker. So you can kind of make a case for both sides, but I thought in that second half we clearly had a plan to play a little bit deeper. Perhaps, I suppose, still looking to counter-attack, but you can't counter-attack when you don't have bodies forward, and we went to 4-5-1 with the changes that Southgate made, and we kind of invited them on a little bit, but they didn't break us in open play. I didn't think they created too many chances. I mean, the chances that they did create came from, I thought, rash decisions and a lack of concentration. So the goal, for me, a free header in that position is pretty criminal, and but it's stuff that should be easy to sort. I say that, I keep seeing it week in, week out in Premier League football now, and elite football all over the world. It's the simple stuff that you expect your defensive unit to deal with in the box doesn't seem to necessarily happen, and there seem to be a lot of goals scored from set pieces. Some of it may be down to better planning, better delivery, better movement from the attacking team, but that was a delivery into the near post or just in front of the near post, and a man who was in 3 yards of space on the edge of the 6-yard box. I mean, you can't do that at any level of football. So that, as well as, like I say, some kind of rash decisions. Look at Pickford, very lucky boy, I thought, to get away with. Yeah, for me that was a red card. If I'm their gaffer, I'm screaming for a red card and a penalty there. I'm not sure what the rules are now. I think he would probably be looking at a yellow card and a penalty, but regardless, he should have been punished, I felt, and that was a moment of madness. And there were other moments where I think perhaps we tried to play out and be too intricate at times, and then other times where we lashed the ball away, or we were just, like say, slashing at the ball rather than playing with any control. We didn't seem to have passing options ahead of us, and that's all the hallmarks of an inexperienced team who struggle to get control back when the opposition are starting to dominate. We saw it in the World Cup. The momentum swing in the semi-final against Croatia was painful to watch, painful to watch it develop, and painful to watch us seem to be powerless to stop it. But we weathered the storm. I mean, Ramos obviously scored in the 8th minute of injury time or whatever. But the second half it just felt like attack versus defence, and it was just down to us doing we needed to do the basics, and probably do the basics better next time, and it might be 3-1 or even 3-0. Learning to shut up shop and learning to control and perhaps see if we can gain the upper hand a little bit with controlling possession a little bit better would have been good. But regardless, we got the job done. I think one big talking point are the tackles. Dyer in the first half and Maguire in the second half. My view on this is really, really clear, and anyone who's played for me knows exactly how I feel about this. You shouldn't be going to ground in today's game unless it's absolutely necessary, for two reasons. One, because referees now, unfortunately, seem to dislike, or the laws of the game and the way that they're interpreted by officials seem to dislike people going to ground and going in with excessive force. And at times you're going to open yourself up to getting a yellow, even when you win the ball and take everything. And look, I did it. I spent half my career, careering into people and smashing people, sometimes premeditated to kind of make a statement in the first couple of minutes of a game, or sometimes to break things up and to maybe make things kick off a little bit when we're winning and try and eat a little bit of time up and stop the momentum of an opposing team. And I think you could do that 20 years ago, but you can't do that now, and it's not responsible. If Dyer walks for that tackle, which I think would have been very, very harsh, by the way, but if he walked for that tackle, he has to accept some responsibility for that. He can't turn around and blame the referee completely, because he's gone careering in there. He has caught man and ball, and you give the referee a decision to make. And on top of that, what are they going to do from that position? I mean, if we're pressing and we've got an organised press very high up the pitch, then going to ground is just going to allow them, or highly likely to allow them to play out and have a man advantage in that position. When you've worked hard in the training ground to press effectively, if you haven't pressed effectively and he's herring off on his own, doing something in isolation, then for me he's no control, and he's in a much better position to be back in the unit to make sure that they don't penetrate the space where he has left. I can't see a reason why he'd do that. Everyone's talking about, you make a statement, it riled everyone up. Maybe, but you can do that in another way. If Dyer's going to go shield the ball out of play, he can go in and use a bit of excessive force and knock someone off their feet, shoulder to shoulder, stand over them a little bit and say, I'm going to do that all game long to you. That's as much of a statement, without the risk of conceding anything more than a free kick. So if you do it in the right area, let's say on the touchline in their half, that's fine. You're not going to give the referee a decision to make in terms of getting a card out of his pocket, and you still make a statement to the opposition to say you're going to get that for 90 minutes. So if you want a competitive game and you want to mix it, we're going to mix it all day long. But you've got to do that in a way that doesn't jeopardise the team's fortunes. And for me, he did that. Maguire's tackle, they were both good tackles, as much as they got the ball. I mean, there's nothing better as a defender than smashing someone, getting the ball, and everyone roaring, the crowd roaring, your teammates roaring. But Maguire's doing that near the edge of the box, so he's getting excessive force, or whatever the way that they interpret it. This isn't my opinion. It's not what I think that is the right thing in the game these days. It's what the referees do, and if the referees 9 times out of 10 give fouls for those free kicks, you've got to learn from that. And the backroom staff in the dressing room need to get that message across to the players that it's irresponsible. It's irresponsible to do that, because Maguire walks there, we're down to 10 men. If he concedes a free kick and they score, we concede a goal. And again, do you need to do it? Do you need to do it? Go block, use your body to block a shot, but you don't need to go and smash the guy there and then. Like I say, I see it from both sides. This is not me saying I would prefer to see football where you don't tackle. It's absolutely not that. I think there's a real art to tackling that's slightly going out of the game. But this is about being prepared and looking at the way that the game is played these days, the way the referees interpret the laws of the game, and the way that you can therefore affect the game or get yourself or land your team in the shit. And it's not responsible. So I'm sure there's plenty of people out there with opposing opinions to mine. That's fine. That's my opinion. Stay on your feet. Defend properly, block, delay, block, help your team to get organised and send them backwards. Block shots, put your body on the line in the box, that's fine. If you go to ground and you're the last man and you win the ball, I can kind of accept that. If you go to ground because you're blocking a shot or you're putting your bollocks on the line in your own penalty area, high five, no problems. But if you're going to ground in the opponent's penalty area recklessly, like Dyer did, I'm not having it. I don't see any benefit whatsoever. Anyway, that's my view on that. But I think overall, as I say, very, very proud of how that England team played. Likes of Harry Winks, who, in a quiet way, I thought was excellent. I thought Ross Barkley didn't really influence the game that much. But yet his presence and the threat that he created, he provided, I guess, on the counter attack was certainly something for Spain to think about. And if you look throughout the team, there weren't actually that many performances that you couldn't pick holes in. Kane was, I thought, excellent, and again answered his critics. Lots of people talking about how tired and fatigued he is, or his impact on games, not scoring goals, whatever. He was a leader once again. He's always a leader, even if he has a quiet game, even if he's getting marked out of the game. He's taking the focus away from his teammates and creating space for others, and he's always incredibly responsible, incredibly hard-working, and very intelligent in terms of his movement. But you've got to look at the likes of Rashford and Sterling and say, what can we do to teams with the pace that those two possess? The decision-making was excellent, the finishing was excellent. Kind of puts a little smile on my face when you see so many people criticise these guys. These are fine margins, and when it comes, when it clicks, and when they do things right, we look like a very, very dangerous team. But overall, huge amount to improve upon, in my opinion. But nothing but optimism about the fortunes of this English team and what we might have in store for us, given the way that Southgate's setting them up, given the way that they're playing with purpose and to a plan, and with the confidence and the bravery to go and hurt teams and penetrate. I'm really, really excited about that. So yeah, have a good day, everyone. Be interested to know what everyone thinks. I'm sure I'm going to get a few pelters from people who love a tackle and think that it's going out the game. But that was my view. Have a good one, everyone.